have an amazing live panel joining now, touching on India and crypto in 2021 and also beyond. But before we get into the conversation, I do want to thank each and every one of you that has taken part in our Christmas promotion. Since we started yesterday, we've gained 10,000 subscribers. So a big thank you to all of you. Now, touching on our conversation for today, we have a great panel of speakers, and I'm going to show you who is joining us. So we have Arinja, who is CEO and co-founder of Frontier, Ravneet, CEO of Coinsbit India, Prashant Surana, who's co-founder of Snappr, and Ankitt, co-founder of EasyFi. So first of all, guys, thank you all so much for joining today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you all. Now, India, as we know, has been a booming crypto industry. There's tens of millions of users in the region. We've also reported here on CoinMarketCap of Bitcoin adoption in India really surging during Diwali festival. There has, of course, been some roadblocks, but I think first of all, for our users that are watching, just to get an idea of demographics in the industry and just how big industry India is as a potential. So Ankitt, I'd actually like to turn to you first of all, and just get you to really paint the picture of demographics of cryptocurrency users in 2021, and has it been in line with your expectations?
So in my view right now, the crypto is very well spread out throughout the country. It's not being clustered in any particular section in the country, from tier 2 cities to tier 1 cities to Mumbai to every other nook and corner in the country. So the user base is very well spread out. And this is a result of great initiatives taken by Indian exchanges like WazirX, CoinDCX, etc. As far as the user growth is concerned, I think ever since the COVID has started, there has been a continuous user growth, and especially in 2021, as the Bitcoin prices have soared, this has resulted into approximately 100% quarter-on-quarter growth in the user base on all different exchanges in various different services, which resulted into also various unicorns in the country, whether it was CoinSwitch Kuber or CoinDCX, and many new wallets coming into the picture.
And what you've mentioned there is remarkable growth, and I think no one can ignore the huge statistics there. Ravneet, I'd like to turn to you now and just ask you from Coinsbit perspective, has the growth that you have seen, not just internally with your organization, but across the region, has that been in line with expectations, or would you say there was more of an additional surge because we did see kind of global interest in cryptocurrency, we did see increases in price as well? Did that all have a positive reflection point on adoption?
Yeah, absolutely, Jess. I mean, we have seen, and I think everyone here can agree, a very huge increase in the crypto investments in just over a year. I think a lot of, news outlets are reporting that there has been an increase from 923 million to something like 6.6 billion in crypto investments in just 1 year in India. And that was right at the back of, Supreme Court ruling out the RBI ban, which was quite controversial in India. But what we also saw was, crypto community in India coming together. And like Ankitt just mentioned, some of the exchanges that have been spearheading that movement, and, crypto community. So this was this made such a huge impact on the crypto community as whole in India. And we also saw the impact of, just even like little bit positive, developments towards regulations and what impact that makes on investor trust and certainty. In addition to that, there has been reports that there has been a huge surge in women, onboarding, and I think something like 1400% increase in women. Although I do suspect that a lot of them are just, guys who are wanting to get those free airdrops, so they're getting their mom and sister's ID on it. But I do think that we're seeing a huge adoption, and like Ankitt mentioned, it's not just the tier 1 cities, but for us, a huge interest has come from South India, and also, some of the tier 3 cities as well. So it has been a mix. One thing I will say is that in our beginning, we definitely did not expect the response that we got. We got 1.2 million users just in about 3 months, and that definitely, led us to start speeding up our scaling processes and integrations. But yeah, it's been a huge impact, and I think what people are waiting for now is more regulations, so they have that certainty, and the industry can truly boom in India.
Really interesting. And interesting what you said there about the airdrops as well. So there is that incentive actually within the community to bring more women into the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting. Now, Prashant, I'd like to turn to you actually, because you inspired me with this question with your Twitter handle, which was kind of the Bitcoin man in India. When it comes to the community approach that you are seeing, we're also welcoming a lot of individual, institutional, and also investors that are foreign investments into India. What have you noticed on the landscape when it comes to foreign investors that are really looking into the region this year? And how has that been different to before?
Yeah, so I would like to put it this way, right? Like India, I think the investor community or the people who can actually invest into organized mutual funds and ETFs, the capital requirement is very high. So which means that it's very difficult for any individual or any normal citizen having a certain less income to actually invest into it, because the minimum investment requirement to invest into a professionally managed or a hedge fund or a mutual fund in India is 50 lakh rupees, which is approximately $80,000 is the minimum cap. So even if there is a lot of this ETFs or which would be created, that would be again be restricted only to the affluent class, right? Like common man would not be able to invest. So personally, I feel exchanges, DeFi, DEX are the great means for everyone to enter into the system. But keeping this more, around institutions, there are like multiple ways of look at it. The first thing is obviously that a restriction where only with a minimum $80,000 you can actually invest. The second thing is also launching these kinds of funds and initiatives, right? Like India has been a very very traditionally conserved economy in a lot of these capital market world. If you see that, we have a lot of restrictions when it comes to trading, right? Like algorithmic trading is still bit restricted. You don't have higher leverages to trade and all of that. Whereas crypto markets trade 24/7, and the complete logics, complete charts, fundamentals of crypto compared to traditional market is totally different. India is still trying to evolve a lot around traditional market, bring in more regulations, fairer regulations, and try to protect investors well. But we have seen at times that like COVID and other things which has not been possible yet. But now they are again another set of entrepreneurs like me, or something like Sachin Bansal, Vinny Bansal, or guys who actually were technopreneurs, right? And they really believe in the potential of this technology. So there have been certain applications which has been filed, like a blockchain fund with Securities Exchange Board of India, which is actually aiming at investing into blockchain related companies. And we are going to see soon that like a lot of these crypto companies can apply for an IPO and things like that. And even on the regulatory side of things, that the government is pushing to regulate it like an asset class or a commodity, right? Not like a currency. So which means that again the SEBI or the Securities Exchange Board would come into play. But a lot of these new gen entrepreneurs like me and other guys like tech entrepreneurs who actually know the potential of technology in India, they have actually started to kind of take that step towards filing something like blockchain funds with the regulators. But again, these funds would be still be restricted to people having a certain income group, and that would be 50 lakhs. So which means that people, I mean, there's a very high entry to barrier, and for that market to evolve, I would personally see it will take a lot of time, because a lot of traditional institutions in India are also not kind of ready yet, because they're still trying to understand what is the type of regulations, taxation structures, and etc. around it.
And there's a recurring theme there. You've mentioned the word regulation a few times, and also to everyone that is joining the live and is commenting in the questions they are asking also about regulation. It does seem to be that one unclear spot when it does come to cryptocurrency growth in India. So thank you to all of our viewers that are asking the questions. We will get to those a little bit later. Ravindra, I'd actually like to turn to you now and ask, based on the conversation and some of the comments that our panelists have actually mentioned, how has 2021 been for you and for Frontier? Because it's been seems like a very strong year for Frontier for growth, but when it comes to user demographics, has that been in line with your expectations? And was there perhaps any challenges that were faced along the way?
Yeah, I would like to start with like whatever Ankitt and Ravneet mentioned. Like I agree with both of them in terms of number of users. But taking a step back, okay, like how we were able to achieve all of this, okay, like we know like Indian exchanges have been doing great job in terms of having a full page ad in all the newspapers, and sponsoring a cricket team, sponsoring the cricket tournament, and all the possible way where Indians can be tapped into. But the biggest like bigger reason why we were able to achieve such number of users is we have a like youngest age, like average age of Indians is 28 right now across the world. Okay, like, and by virtue of the geo whatever, they came up with the cheapest internet plans across India. Like, we were able to penetrate, and like more than 75 percentage of the population has internet. Okay, like that's how, like that's why like India as an emerging like nation, emerging geography for crypto is more relevant. Okay, and we working at Frontier, like being a mobile product. Okay, like we have various statistics. Okay, how relevant the mobile is, because um, mm, we most of the people spend more time on mobile than the web, and stuff. And overall, like what? Okay, like one more aspect of India is the talent. Okay, the talent what we have in terms of lot of developers, what we have in India, like it's huge. Okay, like we when we started Frontier, like we did struggle to hire a lot of blockchain developers. Like it was impossible to hire a blockchain developer. You had to create a blockchain developer. You need to hire a web 2 developer, and we need to train them to become a web 3 developer. But now things have changed, and there is more and more content to support. And one of the biggest hurdle what I see in terms of growth, like in Indian ecosystem, in terms of crypto adoption, like both as an entrepreneur, both and also a consumer, is education content. Okay, like we need to create more educational content, and we need to create more awareness about like what is crypto, what is a crypto asset, what is DeFi, how is it different from traditional finance, what stage are we in terms of crypto. And most of the times, okay, we ads, crypto exchanges tend to like advertise like the price difference. What was the price difference? Like we should also, like, there is one exchange like Coinsbit, Kuber, like they have been creating lots of content on crypto. Okay, like we must put emphasis on creating more crypto educational content as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and just helping bridge that information gap as well. Now, Ankitt, I want to turn to you now, because we've talked about crypto adoption, but one buzzword that we really noticed in 2020 initially was DeFi. And I think India has been a really interesting region for this, just because of its young population, as you've mentioned, also the fact that it is very user mobile phone centric. So Ankitt, from a DeFi perspective, how has DeFi users increased in 2021? And has that been something that you were expecting to maybe be a larger industry than it has, or are people really starting to leverage this in the way that's optimizing for the region? You're still on mute.
So as far as DeFi is concerned, I think that Indian user base is yet to get up to the mark in the DeFi adoption and involvement in terms of the volumes. And the major reason have been that Indian user base have always been a conservative saver. So they have been a big believer of saving into saving accounts and getting more into fixed deposits and those kind of products, which were not very much prevalent, or I would say the advanced DeFi options were not really too prevalent in the DeFi 1.0, whereas in DeFi 2.0, those are the kind of products which are coming up, which are at par with the traditional financial products. And that's where I see, as we go along, there will be a lot of adoption coming in from Asian markets. But as of today, if I talk about the major volume, so one is the number of users, and second is the volume. So the major volume is driven by advanced financially literate people, in the sense who are more involved in the traditional finance part. In India, people are always used to be using simpler products where they can easily interact and can get their money being deployed. So that's where in my perspective, as far as the DeFi user base is concerned, that is coming up. But it would, if we just have to segregate as a DeFi user base, it is not as heavy compared to couple other countries in the world. So that would be on this. But yes, having said that, the India user base on the DeFi interactions is growing quarter on quarter as well. So we as a DeFi company have also observed that. However, since a lot of user base also gets bifurcated into various different composable products, so it's always tough to sort of be able to segregate the specific user base for any one particular product, because in DeFi, composability is one very important inherited DNA of the entire DeFi ecosystem. To sum it up, as far as the Indian DeFi user is concerned, they are getting more and more educated and getting more and more involved. But if we talk about 2021 and 2020, there is an incremental path. However, they have not been yet the major user base. While as far as the developer ecosystem as well as the core investor ecosystem is concerned, yes, Indian user base have been spearheading the growth.
Jess, I think you're muted now.
Yeah, no, I am, yeah. And that was excellent, thank you. And Ravindra, I'd actually like to turn to you now, because you gave a really good outlook when it comes to the different audience demographics that we're seeing. Just for a contrast, how does India really compare with similar regions when it comes to similar size or unbanked populations? Would you say that it's on target, it's in fair comparison, or would you say it's slightly lagging or slightly advanced to other regions?
So as far as that piece is concerned, India definitely is far ahead in the if you compare it with the other economies, whether it is related to the crypto-based banking or the regular banking as well. On that front, especially various different digital payments initiatives, digital banking initiatives, digital money market initiatives have always been good contributors if you have to compare with other unbanked economies of similar size.
And Ravindra, what about you for your insights there? Let's see, on the call. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. You want me to answer the same question?
Yes, if your thoughts were in line with Ankitt.
Yeah. So I regarding the DeFi. Okay, the way the DeFi, the whole DeFi started, right? Okay, I've been a very early adopter of DeFi. Okay, like the word DeFi started, okay, like in one of the groups, okay, where a couple of friends joined from founders of MakerDAO, founders of Set Protocol, and some of the other people joined one Telegram group. That's where this DeFi word originated. Okay, I was the 10th user who joined that group. Okay, I know how this entire conversation originated, and there was a lot of back and forth. Okay, some people wanted to call it open finance, some people wanted to call it different names. Okay, but DeFi right now, the way I see it, okay, like I will completely agree with whatever Ankitt said. Okay, like we are currently at the replication stage. Okay, whatever we had in the traditional finance, we're just trying to replicate. Okay, like when we reach the next phase where we will have more innovation. Okay, let's say we had a borrowing protocol in traditional finance. We are just like repeating the same protocol in DeFi. We had a lending protocol. We just repeated the same thing in DeFi. But DeFi is much more powerful, as Ankitt mentioned, the composability. The flash loans. Okay, flash loans is one of the biggest innovations. DeFi, okay, where you can take a loan in the single transaction and you can pay back at the same transaction and do 10 other actions in between. Okay, that's one thing. And one other thing, okay, is right now the biggest bottleneck for DeFi is the process. You want to get into a protocol and product. Okay, like you need to create a wallet, you need to go into the dApp, you need to connect the dApp, and like that process. Okay, when the user experience improves, okay, then there'll be more adoption. That's what I would say.
Okay, interesting. And you'd say that is more of an obstacle, maybe a longer user interface or a slow process for users. You say that was a bigger obstacle than regulatory concerns.
That's one of the obstacle, and there is a bigger obstacle in India compared to other regions. Okay, your question was comparing other regions. Okay, in India, the on and off ramp is not straightforward. Okay, like let's say even we have very big exchanges like WazirX and CoinDCX. Like these people are doing really good, great job in terms of they do a lot of big trading volume. But on and off ramp should be like much more simpler. Okay, compared to any other like going in an exchange, doing a KYC and then getting everything. Once we come out of uncertainty and have a like good on and off ramp solutions, we will have like more faster adoption in India.
Okay, interesting. And now I want to turn the question, and Ravneet, I'm going to turn to you now from a regulatory standpoint, because we've mentioned some of the issues internally, maybe the issues with organizations and just having a smooth ease of use for users, just to make it a simpler process. Education as well has come up. Regulation, as I've mentioned, has been a recurring comment in our live stream chat. How is regulation going to impact the cryptocurrency sphere in India moving forward? And where do you think things are heading?
Well, I think regulations is the huge kind of key and challenge right now, as some of the guys mentioned. And I think we can all agree that it's looking like it's not going to be a complete blanket ban, as it seems. They will most likely regulate crypto as a new asset class, as a new wealth generation opportunity, but as a payment method, probably that's going to be a ban. One of the things that I'd like to highlight is that, while we're focusing on crypto as a new asset class and, the benefits it can bring to Indians, I think that's going to be phenomenal, given India has like an internet user base of like 624 million and stock users of like 70 million registered users just in 2021. I think there needs to also be an equal focus on crypto as an industry. We've seen, pandemic just pan out, and especially the impact it's had on Indian economy. And one of the key things that we noticed is that there has been a employment falling in urban areas at a faster pace than rural areas. So, urban employment we have seen a bit of decline due to pandemic, and urban jobs in India do tend to, these are like T1, T2 city kind of jobs, and they do tend to be, provide better wages and also just be better quality jobs. And, now that we've seen that decline, we're seeing that there's also been a shortfall in the entrepreneurs. I think something like 3.5 million entrepreneurs. We've seen a shortage since the pandemic, and salaried jobs have fell by like 6.8 million. So these are like, really huge key focus areas that I feel like, we should also be turning our focus to, and understanding that at the moment we've got, this pandemic that's just, still kind of, leaving its aftermath effects on India. And then we're looking at crypto industry as a booming, emerging economy, the future, and we're seeing countries run to it, embracing it. We're seeing governments putting together special regulations just to attract crypto businesses. We've seen what Malta's done. We've seen what El Salvador has done. And I think this could be such a huge driver for, the Indian community in terms of flipping it all around. If, we were also to put regulations in place, not just for crypto as a new asset class, but also to attract more, jobs to India. I think in crypto industry itself, we're seeing that, as Ravindra, you mentioned that software development jobs are currently accounting for like the largest amount of jobs that are being posted, for crypto jobs, and we've got management jobs that are coming at second, and then human resources jobs as well. And plenty of this talent is in India. So much, incredible the amount of unicorns that have come out, the amount of talent that's come out of India and it's left India to go to US. We could be potentially not only bringing that talent back, but attracting a lot more talent, in this emerging industry to India. One of the things that I would like to highlight to anyone who's listening to this and they're interested in job opportunities in India, I think India, maybe everyone can agree with me here, we definitely need content writers, crypto content writers in India. Please, learn how to learn crypto if you can start writing, but we definitely need more content writers. So, that would definitely be my recommendation. I mean, Australia is looking to now create additional 200,000 jobs just in the crypto industry. And because they realize that the country is being drained out of talent because the talent is leaving to more crypto friendly countries. So I think, apart from just empowering individuals to, be able to invest in this new asset, I think we need to also start focusing on the economy and the amount of jobs that can be created in India. That would be a huge booster.
And you made some really interesting points there, especially focusing on crypto unicorns. This year alone, there was a large amount that we did welcome in Coinbase Ventures. We're investing in Indian organizations, as well as Andreas and Horowitz. So there was really an open landscape for American institutional investors and a larger global landscape. Are you expecting that that might not be the case as much in 2022, just while there is this regulatory uncertainty? We're going to wait for the dust to settle, as it were.
Look, it depends on everyone's personal appetite when we're talking about funds and investors. Now, we know that, some of the exchanges have been funded and backed by incredible and powerful names while there was regulatory uncertainty. And, then there are some huge players as well that we're currently speaking to in the NFT space. We have to understand that India is such a hot market for NFTs because of the entertainment industry and the impact that sports athletes and the actors and Bollywood has on masses in India. So there's a lot of international players that are looking at Indian, influential figures and to bring NFTs. And, some of these guys that we're in talks with, the challenge remains, is the regulatory certainty coming in? Because if we're going to come in, set up offices, invest so much money and, create jobs, we need to know for sure that the government's not going to turn around and potentially, ban it in future. So I think it does come down to appetite. Some funds have huge risk appetite and they're willing to place that bet while others want to, step back. It goes without saying, if the regulations do come in, there's going to be, I feel like a huge lineup of investors and, businesses wanting to come to India. India is a huge potential growth market. And it's just a market that I think a lot of people have been watching for a long time, especially since last year.
So 2022 could be the surging year. Now, Prashant, I'd like to turn to you now because we're focusing our attention now on our viewers, our audience that are watching. Guys, thank you so much to everyone in the chat that is interacting. A really common theme that we are hearing, though, is India going to ban crypto? That seems like a recurring concern among users, cryptocurrency holders. What would you say to cryptocurrency users right now that are based in India that may be a little bit uncertain about how to position or just how to move forward in the next few months?
Yeah, I think one thing is almost clear that from my understanding, if India had to ban crypto, they would have done it long back. They wouldn't have considered it or given such a long window. The second thing is that while central banks are really against it because of a fear that they feel that there is a lot of capital outflow which can possibly happen from a country like India, because India, I mean, if you look at India's balance of payments, we are still negative, right? Like we have still a lot of more imports than exports. So that is where the central bank's major concern is. But what I personally feel is that, like, though there has been concerns and RBI or the Indian central bank has been protective about a lot of things, I'm in a favor of, actually allowing cryptos more like a, commodity and asset class rather than currency, because I think for a country or an economy, currency is something which has to be, standardized, stabilized, right? Though you might have a lot of inflation and other factors, but certain factors are good for the, economy. Like you need a growing or a running inflation to, keep things up to the track and the economy to grow, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you have, negative interest rate. And with India, I think this is something which I would vouch for, look forward to. And I think even the regulators are also looking at the similar lines, like including the Indian Parliament. Like they understand that crypto is a very big economy. India has like the highest number of, one of the highest number of investors. And most of the people also who are invested in this asset class, like, government understands that most of them are like really smart people, earning people who know that what they are investing into, apart from the herd which don't understand and they're investing. But I think that is there even in the stock market, right? You cannot remove speculators from anywhere in the world, right? You would find scammers even in the traditional market, you would find scammers in the crypto market, you would find scammers everywhere. So I really don't see any logical argument that why they wouldn't actually allow crypto. But they wouldn't allow crypto as a currency, that's for sure. That would only happen for INR, and even I'm also kind of in favor of that. But they would definitely regulate it as an asset class, and just make sure that the assets and everything which are available for users to trade are regulated and are not like scammy assets. I think Indian regulators would do a fantastic job there. The second thing is that I think the other area, what they are basically concerned about is a free movement, right? Like anyone can basically, deposit and withdraw crypto and, move money anywhere in the world. But logically, if you see, I think no one is actually moving money. I mean, if you have to buy a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, I would go to Coinsbit or any of the exchange, I would give my INR there and I'm just buying an asset, right? Or I'm just buying some code which exists on the internet. So if they think this is money and I'm actually moving money, but logically the money is still there within the Indian system, there is not money actually moving out. Even if a person is trying to sell any of his crypto asset and taking INR or Indian rupee in exchange, still the money is there within the Indian system. So this logic, I really couldn't understand where, they're trying to say that, okay, there's a capital outflow from a country. I really don't think there is a capital outflow. All you are moving is just an ownership of an asset. It's something like a computer over an internet or any other asset which the ownership can be transferred in real time. You actually cannot stop anyone fundamentally all around the world to move ownership of any asset, right? I have money. If I give it to you, it's your money now. You cannot actually logically stop me from, sharing the ownership. But with cryptos, they feel that, people are actually, moving money out of the country, out of the system. But I really don't think this is actually happening. In fact, it is much easier for them to track because all the money would essentially come into exchanges, right? And from the exchanges, they have all the ability to track. But however, from their perspective, this is the scenario. But I would say that there is some kind of an understanding or a technological gap which still actually exists, and we are trying to bridge this gap with our like BACC association and trying to say them, hey, this is not the case. But overall, that said, I think India is certainly moving in a right direction, and the time which has been given for this system to evolve, we are actually seeing very smart projects coming out of India. Like, I mean, I would say most of the crypto exchanges in India are legit. Not the top ones, but I'm saying most of them. Let's say there are 10 exchanges which are operating in India, 8 of them are actually legit. They know what they are doing. I mean, users' monies are like actually, kind of safe, and they're not like actually, kind of, scammy or something like that. And even Indian entrepreneurs or even the Indian ecosystem, they understand the value of building and what could actually, and how it could benefit the larger, community as a whole. So everyone here, I think, in India, like builders, they are like hodlers, builders, and they are doing a fantastic job. And I see that Indian government would actually, and the regulators would allow them in this space to grow, because they understand very well that they cannot stop it. And to stop it, you need to actually stop the internet. But it's just a matter of time where, this education would be, kind of, bridged between the community and between the regulators, and the regulators is also, and even the regulation, what we have to see has to be like an evolving regulation, right? Like there cannot be any standardized regulation to any investment thing in the whole world. Like even, SEC has been evolving their regulations since the stock market has evolved, and still they are trying to ramp up with the loopholes. And I think these loopholes would exist fundamentally into any investments or into any market. So crypto is exactly where, you know, the stock markets were initially, and I think it would evolve faster than how stock markets or any traditional market has actually evolved.
And you mentioned the ACC association there, and I think as a final question, Ankitt, I'd like to turn to you and ask, are you all quite optimistic? Ankitt, we'll start with you, and then anyone else is very welcome to answer. Are you quite optimistic that we're seeing high-profile organizations, crypto-based, in India that are working together to form this alliance to really help regulators with ease of jurisdictions and implementing these regulatory boundaries? Are you optimistic that the blockchain force, as it were, is working together quite well in a positive way? You're muted, yes.
Yes. So absolutely. In the recent proposal that came out from the Parliament regarding the crypto bill, SEBI was also brought in for the first time for this process. That's a direct relation hint of all the regulators trying to come together to form a favorable regulation so that it curbs the problems that the regulators are seeing, while still giving enough hotbed for innovation so that there is required innovation that can happen. The legit companies and serious companies can actually grow in the ecosystem. So yes, absolutely, I'm very, very hopeful, and I can see most of these larger reputed organizations coming together to solve the thing. And as they say, the genie's out of the bottle. They are just trying to deal with it now. So they're all coming together to deal with it.
Fantastic, thank you. And Ravindra, any final words or comments for any of our users that are based in India at the moment when it comes to the next few months and what they can expect?
Yeah, try to educate as much as possible. Okay, like as Prashant mentioned, okay, like we don't want to like see crypto as another payment method, because we have a really good efficient way of doing payments through UPI, which does very, very fast transaction. Like try to create as much educational content as possible to create more awareness.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining the panel. It was a really great conversation, and we'll have to follow up in a few months and just see how India has positioned, and hopefully we'll have some positive news and a lot more user demographics for everyone and for all of our viewers as well. On behalf of all of our audience, thank you all so much for our insights, and for our users as well. Thank you so much for joining us for the live stream. Do remember that we do have our Christmas promotion on until the 25th of December. Go to coinmarketcap.com/Christmas to take part. There's 10,000 USDT worth of prizes up for grabs, and see you all again really soon. Guys, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.